Hi, I'm Craig. The area behind me is on the opposite side of the driveway from where we're doing the rock garden. I've got this area now cleared and flattened out to put our raised vegetable beds here. There'll be deer fencing around it, 7-foot high deer fencing around it, several raised vegetable beds in here. The rocks on the corner will protect the corner post here. This is the north side of our garden bed area. And I've already dug the holes where the post will go to support the deer fencing. And what I've done is I've stretched rope so that it shows me where the outside of the post will go. And right here we have the corner post will go here, so it have two sides, ropes on both sides of it. With the corner piece, the way the ropes are laid out, the post will fit right up against the ropes on either side of it. Then be supported with 2x4 bracing. We'll fill this hole with concrete. Because this is a corner post, we want it to be extra strong. So there's probably going to take at least 3 or 4 bags of concrete just for this one post, but it'll be nice and steady afterwards. I have these pieces of scrap lumber I've cut into pointed stakes. I will come out along the ropes on the side here about 6 feet, drive them down into the ground so they're flush with the rope. And that way when I get my post in the ground, I can then run a 2x4 as a brace to this up to the 4x4 to hold it in place while I get the concrete around it. For this project, we're using 2 or 3 of these 80-pound bags of concrete mix per post. When I'm doing a small project like this, I just prefer to use this concrete mixing tray. You could do it in a wheelbarrow, just something else you have to clean up, and the mixing tray works good for this. Have an old hoe that I've used from concrete, so it still has concrete on it. That's what I always go to, use that. And then when I get close to the top, if I want to smooth it out, just need a trowel to smooth it out. We know a lot of people, when you work with concrete, you get it way too wet, and that weakens the strength of concrete. If you read the bag, an 80-pound bag of concrete says to use 6 pints of water for the 80-pound bag. So we have water. We marked in this jug where the 6 pints are. But basically, you empty your bag of concrete, create a depression. Add your 6 pints of water and mix it back and forth with the hoe. Just pulling the dry mix down into the water. With this, I'll usually do it from both directions. Now when it's thoroughly mixed, it's wet throughout, but very granular. This is not anything you're going to pack down and scratch your initials in. It just isn't that consistency of concrete, but this is the strongest mix you can do it just barely wet like that. A lot of times when you do it like this, there'll be little pockets of dry powder. They have enough moisture around them that when they get in the hole with all the rest of the concrete, they'll hydrate, form up into a solid mass. So you don't need to dilute more and weaken your mix. I'm tamping down any air pockets in it, basically tamping with just a flat end of a board to pack it together. This hole probably needs maybe another half bag. I'll wait till I get the post in the next hole over so I can put it over in there too. Since this won't dry out before I get that done, it'll be okay. If it started to dry out, I'll spray it lightly. Concrete like this actually takes 28 days to cure to reach full hardness. It reaches something like 90% of its hardness in a day. With this, because it's a dry pack, I've got these forms holding the post in place. I could actually take these forms off in just an hour or two and the post won't go anywhere. It'll be a good, strong, steady corner post here. And I'll just continue to work down along this edge, get the rest of these, get all these in place today. We've got the post in on the north side of our garden area, all set into concrete. The very first post is a corner post. It was 10 foot long. I actually took the supports off of this after about an hour, and you can see it's super sturdy. Concrete's had 2 days to harden now, so it did need the supports after about an hour to keep it in the upright position. But one thing you'll notice with our posts are they're all different heights as you look down the length of them. And what I've done is I've marked on the shortest one 7 feet above the ground level, put a little nail there, and then I marked the same height on the rest of the posts. I'm going to come back and cut these all off at that level there. That way when we get 7.5 foot deer fencing, and there'll be about 6 inches at the bottom that'll fold under, that we can then make so something can't come up underneath the fence and get into the garden that way. So that'll be the next job, cutting these off. When I'm cutting off a post like this, I could draw a line where the cut goes, go all the way around, draw the line all the way around, try to hold the saw up there, follow that line. Problem is that, that gets a little bit heavy working overhead like that. The easiest way I found to do it when you're working on a post overhead like this is to measure the width of the saw base from the edge here. Measure down that distance here, which is 5 inches. Attach a piece of plywood here with clamps, and then ride the saw along that plywood so that it's supported by that wood instead of trying to hold it up overhead like that. All the posts are now cut off at the same height, except I left the last one on the corner taller. We're thinking about building a chicken coop outside the garden on that corner, so I'm leaving it long in case I want to incorporate that into building the chicken coop. It's going to take a couple of more weeks to build all the beds in the garden, get everything done out here. There'll be a compost bin, cold frame, a permanent bed for asparagus, a couple of beds for the annuals that we'll plant every year, a couple of elevated beds along the perimeter of the garden, a rock wall outside 2 sides of the garden with some of the planting extending into those areas. So be sure to check back with us and see how the progress on this is going.